It's 2007. Apple is bleeding. The smartphone world is a clunky mess. And then, bam! Steve Jobs enters the Macworld stage, drops a bombshell that rewrites history. A phone, an iPod, and an internet device all in one.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is.
Today we're diving into what made iPhone's launch in 2007 so iconic. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more similar videos. Let's rewind to 2007. Apple isn't the trillion-dollar titan we know today. It was a company clawing its way back from the edge. The 90s had been brutal. Macs were niche, profits were thin, and Steve Jobs had only returned a decade earlier to save the sinking ship. By 2007, the iPod was your cash cow, pumping life into the brand with its sleek design and that addictive click wheel. But smartphones, that was a different game. The market was a junkyard of clunky bricks, Blackberries with their tiny keyboards, Nokia flip phones that felt like relics, and Palm Trios that promised a future but delivered a headache. Touchscreens existed, sure, but they were laggy, stylus-dependent disasters. Nobody had cracked the code until Apple did. Enter the iPhone. On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs strode onto the Macworld stage in San Francisco wearing a black turtleneck and unleashed a revolution. "We're going to reinvent the phone," he declared. His voice was steady, eyes were gleaming, and the crowd held its breath. He wasn't kidding. The iPhone wasn't just a phone, it was a game changer. A full touchscreen, no buttons, no stylus, just your finger and the 3.5-inch display that looked like it came from 2020, not 2007. It merged a phone, an iPod, and an internet browser into one slick package. Pinch to zoom, mind-blowing. Scroll with a flick, unreal. Jobs demoed it live, calling, texting, blasting music, and the room erupted. This wasn't a gadget, this was magic. What made iPhone so good? It was simple yet brilliant. Competitors like BlackBerry leaned onto physical keyboards. Jobs ditched them. Why type on plastic when you can tap on the glass? The software, iOS, was as smooth as butter, built from scratch to match the hardware. No clunky menus, no endless reboots, just a clean grid of apps that worked. The Apple Store didn't exist yet, but the iPhone shipped with Safari, the real web browser, not the chopped up mobile junk others offered. You could actually surf the internet, full pages, no compromises. And that design, a slab of glass and aluminum, thin as a whisper, gorgeous from every angle. It wasn't just a phone, it was a statement. The launch itself, it was pure theater. 29 June 2007, lines snaked around Apple stores, hundreds, then thousands camping out overnight. San Francisco, New York, Chicago, people didn't just want it, they needed it. News crews swarmed. The hype had been building since Jobs' keynote, fueled by leaks, rumors, and that iconic teaser. Apple reinvents the phone. At 6 p.m., doors opened, cheers exploded. First buyers waved their boxes like trophies. Only 270,000 sold that weekend. Small by today's standards, but the buzz was deafening. Tech blogs called it the event of the decade. Why? Because Jobs didn't just sell a product, he sold a vision. He paced that stage black in January, pausing for effect, smirking as he said, "This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years." Every word dripped with drama. Every gesture screamed confidence. The launch wasn't a sale, it was a coordination. So why was it so iconic? The iPhone was light years ahead. Touchscreens weren't new. LG Prada tried it months earlier, but Apple perfected it. Multi-touch tech let you pinch, swipe, and tap like never before. Competitors scrambled, but they were stuck in the past. Nokia's Symbian OS was a dinosaur. BlackBerry's email focus was one-trick pony. The iPhone didn't play catch-up. It set the pace. It killed the stylus dead. Jobs hated them, famously saying, "Who wants a stylus? You have to get him, put him away." Yuck. Instead, he gave us our fingers as tools. And that shift rewrote the rulebook. Plus, it just looked cool. It looked sleek and futuristic. A status symbol before anyone knew what that meant. People didn't just buy it, they really flaunted it. The iPhone was ahead of its time in ways we couldn't fully grasp then. No one had blended hardware and software so seamlessly ever before. While Motorola Razrs flipped upon tiny screen, the iPhone delivered a pocket computer. It had a proximity sensor. Lift it to your ear, the screen dimmed. An accelerometer. Tilt it, the display flipped. Little touches, sure, but they added to something massive. Critics laughed at the price. $499 with a 2-year contract. But the fans didn't care. They saw the future. And Jobs? He saw it too. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. He said that in the keynote. And being in 2025, he really wasn't wrong. Now let's talk the launch magic. It wasn't just a product, it was a moment. Apple turned a phone drop into a cultural earthquake. The Macworld keynote wasn't a dry press conference. It was a show. Jobs demoed the iPhone live, glitches and everything, flipping between apps, calling an Apple executive on stage, even ordering Starbucks to grasp the laugh. The crowd ate that up. Then came June. Those lines weren't just customers, they were believers. Media couldn't look away. CNN, BBC, every outlet ran it like breaking news. Apple didn't flood shelves either. Scarcity juiced the hype. Only AT&T carried it. A bold exclusivity move that made it feel elite. The launch was flawless because it wasn't just about sales. It was about rewriting what a phone could be. So how did this shape the future? The iPhone 1 lit the fuse. By 2008, the Apple Store launched. Suddenly, developers could build anything from games to maps, and the smartphone became a platform. Competitors panicked. BlackBerry doubled down on keyboards, which was a huge mistake. Nokia clung to the Symbian OS. It was a dead end. Google rushed Android out, but the early versions were a mess compared to iOS. The iPhone's touchscreen standard forced everyone to follow it. By 2010, the flip phones were lost, and every company chased Apple's tail. It wasn't just tech, it was a culture. The iPhone gave birth to selfies, apps like Instagram, a world where your phone wasn't just a tool, but an extension of your own self. And Apple, the iPhone made them king. Before 2007, they were a $17 billion company, which was respectable, but they weren't a giant by any means. The iPhone flipped the script. By 2011, they passed the ExxonMobil to become the world's most valuable company. Today, they're worth over $3 trillion, dwarfing rivals. Why? Because iPhone wasn't just a one-off, it was a blueprint. Every year they built on it. Cameras got sharper, screens got bigger, and the apps got smarter. The 2007 launch proved that Apple could innovate, they could take risks, and they could win big. It gave them cash to dominate. AirPods, Apple Watch, all riding that iPhone wave. Wall Street completely drooled over it. Consumers lined up outside the Apple stores. The iPhone didn't just shape smartphones, it shaped Apple into a juggernaut. The ripple effects, they were massive. Smartphones went from business tools to everyone's pocket. By 2015, over 2 billion people had one. Thanks to that 2007 spark, touchscreens became the norm. Keyboards faded. Companies like Samsung had pivoted hard, copying the iPhone's slab design with their own Galaxy phones. Even failures like Microsoft Windows Phone tried to mimic what iPhone did. The iPhone 1's DNA is in every device today. Big screens, app ecosystems, sleek looks, it turned phones into a status symbol too. Owning one meant that you were one of them. Apple's brand became untouchable, a mix of luxury and tech that no one has ever topped. So let's zoom out. The 2007 launch wasn't just iconic, it was a turning point. Before, phones were only there for calls and text, and after that, they were everything. Cameras, music players, computers. Jobs saw it coming, betting Apple's future on that one device, and that gamble paid off in a big way. The iPhone didn't just beat rivals, they buried them. BlackBerry's market share was entirely gone by 2013. Nokia sold off in pieces. Apple didn't just join the game, they kicked everyone else out, and the world followed it. It changed everything overnight, proving one bold move could shift an entire industry, a culture, and the company's fate. So there you have it. If you loved this throwback, hit that like button. And if you're curious on how Apple keeps winning, check out my new video on their latest moves next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.